What do you think? Handsome enough to tempt you? Hmm? Hello. Hello. All right, so it is no secret that lately times are strange. Admittedly, I've been having, it looks like I'm wearing no pants. I swear I am. Admittedly, I've been having a hard time motivating myself to work on or do anything. So for my next project, I knew that it had to be something that I was really excited and passionate about, and something that I've been wanting to do for a really freaking long time. In the course of my life, there have been quite a few dream dresses. Ones that truly hit me right in the aesthetic. One of those dresses is this dress, which can be seen in 2005's Pride and Prejudice, is one of my absolute all-time favorite movies. I watched it about 15 times in the course of 3 months during college. I know some people don't particularly like this version of Pride and Prejudice, but I don't care. If I like it, I am going to make it. I think one of my favorite things to do, and I guess the whole reason I love cosplay to begin with, is recreating something from a movie or a TV show. And I feel like it can be a little bit difficult when, you know, there is no set pattern for this dress. It's gonna be a little bit of guesswork, and mine will probably not be 100% screen accurate because it's me, and I'm gonna take you along on this journey. Art thou ready? Let's just get right into it. Obviously, I am going to try my best to replicate what she's wearing in the movie. We obviously have the really long skirt here, and for the bodice, it seems to be relatively simple. Falls just about the small of her waist, maybe a little bit above that, but for me, I think I'm gonna do it right at the small of my waist just for prime flattery. And then it seems like there are some princess seams here. And then the dress has these buttons with little elastic loops. I'll probably change that and just make buttons, just because bigger chests plus these little loop-de-loops always end up looking really gaping for me. In fact, it already kind of looks gaping for her. I'm just going to avoid that. On paper, it seems relatively easy. I am a little bit nervous about enclosures. Know that there's a row of buttons, obviously those can be undone, and that might just be it. Suspect that there is a little bit more work on the waistband area that allows for it to be cinched in. And especially with me, Kira is quite a bit more petite than I am, especially around the chest hole region. So simply just undoing the buttons and still having a flattering waistline is not gonna work for me. And I don't wanna throw a zipper in there. I don't know. For right now, let's talk about materials. As far as materials for this project, there aren't much. But what I do have is this beautiful tan taupe kind of linen material. I was actually determined to make this dress last summer, and I never actually got around to it. Last June, while I was in California, Christine took me to the wonderful land of the fabric district. If you've ever seen a child's eyes light up with wonderment and simultaneously want to touch everything, then you have a basic understanding of how it was for me to see so many fabrics in such a confined space. I was on a noble quest to find a material that would match her dress, and I think we went to like 5 or 6 of the stores. As always with movie costumes, it's a bit hard to decipher what the source material actually is because it looks different in pretty much every shot and every lighting situation. I did my best. Pretty heavy, and I feel like with a nice gathered skirt that has a lot of yardage to it, that it should, you know, swoosh nicely. A requirement for me. Now, as far as patterns, this is where it gets a little tricky. I'm going to try to mix match. I'm going to try to mix match some of the patterns that I already have. I recently just purchased this pattern from the 70s, I believe. I actually used it to make my brown pinafore that pretty much my most favorite thing I've ever made. This pattern is insane. There are around 12 skirt panels, I believe. When I made that pinafore, I didn't have enough yardage, and I think I ended up only doing 8 or so, but it ended up being fine. I think that's probably going to be the case with this. I don't remember how many yards I got. But upon washing and ironing it, which took about 27 years, I do believe I have enough to at least do what I did with the pinafore. So, and then for the bodice, because there are some princess seams and I want it to be really flattering, I think what I'm going to do is use my vest pattern. It may not be exact, but as long as it's kind of the same shape as hers, I'm not gonna worry about it too much. It seems pretty simple, but of course, if I've learned anything in my sewing journey, nothing is simple. Let's start making this baby. Sometimes I'm truly curious what I look like when I'm pinning pattern pieces out of context, but I suspect it's alarming.
What is that?
I am defeated. I can't find my fabric scissors, and it is so hot in here. I'm so sweaty. I hate summer. Everything's fine. If this looks like it's the absolute worst, that's because it is. I have no idea where my fabric scissors are. I'm just gonna use this crappy pair of scissors. Ouch. All right, these are all the skirt pieces. I used all of the panels except for one, and that is because I was a little concerned about using too much fabric before I start work on the bodice. And because I already made that pinafore, I know for a fact that this will work just fine. So all of these are double layers. I am going to take all the paper off of the fabric and start pinning the sections together. Oh, you sleepy man, it's hot in here, huh? Yeah. All right, pretty much have all the skirt pieces put together. I left the two sides open because you know what we're gonna do. Pockets. Because there's no way I'm walking 3 miles to Netherfield to go check on my sister without bringing some snacks along. I am winging these pockets. I don't know if that's a good idea or not, but it worked for the pinafore that I made, so your pockets are only truly known by you. I don't think it matters too much how pretty they are. Here she is. I'm very, very happy with it. I just freaking love the pattern that I've been using. Makes such a pretty shape. Beep, beep. That does not look appropriate. So I'm going to stop for today because it is absolutely pouring. Kind of want to get cozy and read a book by candlelight, like it's 1802. And then tomorrow I will pick back up on the bodice, which I am anticipating will take a lot more effort and brain power than the skirt took me, so not quite looking forward to that, but we'll work through it step by step. I will see you tomorrow. Good morning. Like I said, today is going to be focused on making the bodice, which I will be completely honest, I'm a little terrified of and a little intimidated. The pattern that I have is not exact, obviously, to her dress, so I'm hoping that it works the way that I think it's going to. Oh. Yeah? Why are you yelling at me? What? and I'm a little nervous because I do have to alter the pattern quite a bit. A normal cautious person would probably make a mock-up for this first, but here we are. Excuse me. Beep beep. So these are the pattern pieces for the vest. End up looking like this. It does have princess seams, but they're a little farther out than hers. I feel like mine's gonna be different anyways because we have completely different chest sizes. So no matter what I do, it's gonna look a little different. We have the front, the side, and then the back. My goal is to extend this out a bit so that instead of tying it up with string, I will have enough overlap that I can make buttons and buttonholes instead. Trying it on every step of the way I think is gonna be pretty important for this. We shall see. Okay, so I ended up modifying this quite a bit. The initial kind of pattern modification that I did, I tried it on and this part still hit a little bit too low and it looked more like a corset vest or a dirndl, which normally I wouldn't mind. But for the sake of trying to kind of replicate Lizzie's dress, I did bump this up quite a bit. So hopefully, you know, it has a more like rounded shape. If I had done a mock-up, I wouldn't have gone through quite as many trial and tribulations, but don't yell at me. So yeah, I'm gonna pin these all together and try them on. Here's the top so far. Hard to do with the camera in my hand, but... Oh, I didn't even know you were in here. This does close, I swear. I think it'll do quite nicely. I'm going to start stitching this together and then I guess figure out the lining. One thing at a time. I'm just gonna start stitching things together and then I'll worry about that. I've cut out another set of the patterns for the bodice, stitched them all together. The lining layer inside out on top of the outer layer. When I stitch all the edges, I should be able to turn it inside out. I'm not entirely sure if I should have done this before I attached shoulder seams, but it's kind of the only way I could think to do it without getting really confusing with armholes and such. And yes, I will press these seams. Don't at me. Overall, I'm pretty happy with it. It's very comfy. One thing I'm not quite sure of, this little floppy do here, and I'm not quite sure how to fix that. Really sticks out. So I think I'm gonna pause and then tomorrow I'll figure out how to attach everything. A little bit of a challenge, I think. So I'll see you later. Good morning. Day 3 of the project. I am feeling wholly reinvigorated after rewatching the movie, which is still one of my favorites, so if you don't like it, I don't want to hear it. So last night I did make the waistband. I pressed it and then I'm going to fold it in on itself and then it should only be this thick. I mulled over how to join the two parts of the dress over and over in my mind and I could not think of a good way to do it. These are my problems. Number one, if I put an elastic here, technically I could stretch it over my bust when I go to put on the dress and then it would kind of snap back into place. But I had made the bodice pretty close fitting to my waist. That itself wouldn't stretch. Number two, I think my problem could be resolved if I were to join these two pieces and put a zipper on the side. Most of my dresses are built that way. I think side zippers can look good if they're hidden well. I'm not good at hiding them well. So did I just drool? And I made the decision, which may be a little bit odd, to keep them as separates. I have the vest. On top of that, I would just put the skirt. Together, they would look like a dress. I think it might be cool to have 2 new pieces of my wardrobe instead of just one dress. That being said, I should probably try on both pieces and make sure that I will be able to do that, because I'm not sure that the vest has enough length in back that I can hide it with a skirt seam without it popping out. So let's give that a try. The dress is complete, and now all that is left is to do the transformation and then commence the frolicking. Let's give it a shot. What do you think? Handsome enough to tempt you? Here goes nothing. Okay. So I already have my foundation on. To contour, this time I'm going to try to use a more gray, just because sometimes when I use tan-ish color, it tends to look dirty. So Kira's face, not very similar to mine, so this should be interesting. I'm going to have to make my nose appear a little smaller because hers is very cute and tiny. Upper lip, I will have to enlarge. And then aside from that, I think I'm just gonna follow the makeup that she has on in the movie, and Bob's your uncle. Mr. Gardner's your uncle. I always like to start at the nose, goes in a bit at the bridge. I'm just gonna generally thin my nose. I'll probably go back and futz with that as I always do, but for now I think that's good. Let's do brows. I like to mark off when they start and when they end, which is a little difficult because she has bangs. Okay, perfect, you're done. Good enough. I'm gonna move on to eyeballs. To make my eyes look a little bit bigger, I'm gonna exaggerate the bottom lid a bit. I learned this through Natalie Portman, who looks very similar to Kira. Taking a dark brown shadow, underlining right where my socket ends. This is a good trick to make your eyes look like they're bulging. That'll do. And then she does have quite dark liner on her bottom lid, which I don't know how historically accurate that is, but again, you can kind of cheat eye shape with this. Yes, I am using a literal craft paintbrush from a pack that probably cost me $2. Professional makeup artist, that's me. Let's do lips, which I'm a little nervous about. I think it's very easy for lips to look very cartoony, so I'm gonna take a lip liner. Thankfully, I think her lower lip is kind of similar to mine, but I am going to extend my mouth a little bit. Yes, it looks crazy. I'm gonna fix it. A small brush and a kind of darker red. And then a trick I like to do, which again you have to be very subtle about, is taking a dark brown and just I'm just gonna fake the distance between my nose and mouth a little bit, adding some shadow here, cheekbone contour. And blush. Mr. Darcy, Mr. Bingley. I think it's wig time. Nailed it. Oh wow. You like that, Mr. Darcy? Huh? Think that's as good as we're gonna get. So now all that's left is to try everything on. Wrap up time. Ta-da! She's a little sweaty. I am ecstatic about this. It means so much to me to actually be able to express my love for that movie through dressing as one of my favorite characters of all time. Second, I'm excited because I can use these as normal clothes whenever I do a cosplay that doubles as both. I am glad that I chose to do two separates. Probably was some way to do what I was thinking and join it into one piece. If that is true, please let me know or leave some tips. In the least condescending way, please. No Catherine de Burghs here. Obviously, me and Kira have different faces, so it's only gonna get so close, but I think that it's at least recognizable as the character, which is all I can ever ask for. And while yes, I am satisfied with most of this, there is one thing that keeps kind of catching my attention and bugging me, and that is these weird darts that I put in. But I couldn't think of any way to get rid of that excess fabric without putting a dart in, so maybe I just put them in a weird spot, but they're just they're there. It's kind of important for me to do projects that are making me excited and making me really passionate, and this was one of them. I've been looking forward to making this dress for forever. Why did I do that? And that's it for me. I would love to hear what you guys are up to and what costumes you guys are making. At least for me, I know that since there's no conventions, I am kind of losing motivation to make stuff. Hence why if I am to make something, it's gotta be one of my favorite characters, because I am gonna go film a couple TikToks. Go bewitch Mr. Darcy. Body and soul. Just like that, that's how you do it. Take note. Okay, that is it. I love you guys whether you're new or old to this channel. If you're new here and you feel like sticking around, feel free to subscribe. I upload every Friday and we have fun here. And I will see you in my next video. Bye! Wonderful. Sun, come back. And who needs studio lights for your videos when you've got neighbor's solar panels? Wow, you look great. Meh. Hello, sir. And I use oh my god. Oh, I'm sorry for punching you with fabric. You gonna tell that thunder who's boss? Frodo.
Excuse me? You're interrupting me. Kitten. Jib jib jibba. Meow meow meow. Jibba jibba. Meow meow meow.
I feel like with Frodo, I have actual conversations with him, but with my cat, it's just like weird words and noises.
Meow meow meow. Butthole. Gross. Uh-oh. Drama.
Leave Frodo back in.
Fresh.
I feel like the princess seems. Yeah! Yeah! Got it. Is that Mr. Darcy? Oh, quite the likeness indeed.